Hey, this is Gabriel Stein with Pure Web Services, here to review yet another unsuspecting business's website. If you want your website reviewed by the pros, maybe off camera, email us at help@purewebservices.com and we'd be delighted to help. Now let's take a look. So, we're back yet again with another website to review, another unsuspecting business owner. Today it is SacramentoEventPlanner.com. It sounds like a great brand name. It's actually a really good URL. My team has sent me this link. I have not looked at it yet. All I have up, the other two tabs here, are whois.com, so we can just kind of see who has the domain registered, kind of what's going on there. And then I also have built with, which is kind of like an x-ray for technology and the back end of websites. So and I'll actually show those too. Here's what it looks like, whois.com. I have that domain, sacramentoeventplanner.com, plugged in here to this search box. I hit go on that. Before I can even see what the results are, we'll go over to built with, hit look up. So cool. So those two are loaded in the background. Here's the domain. I have not visited it before at all. We'll hit go. And right away it says not secure. So no SSL. Again, kind of it's a difficult thing to apply, unfortunately, to a website, but ultimately it's a simple thing, just unfortunately difficult to actually install, but it's a simple process and update to a website that's really important. So no SSL, that's unfortunate. Obviously, right away, we see this really huge logo. It's probably, JPEG as well, so maybe some optimization to the size of the file, which is good because of JPEG versus something like PNG or GIF like we saw yesterday. But still, it's kind of dominating the screen. It doesn't tell me a lot. It just says A&A music events, your source for entertainment. The domain is Sacramento Event Planner, which is very good actually. It's a very good domain, but it doesn't really match music or entertainment. I guess that event planner makes sense a little bit, but these don't seem like quite the same thing. That seems, I like to see Sacramento, music events or something like, music planning, or I don't know. Maybe event planner is the best they could get away with. It is a good domain. Just seems like they're doing something more specific than just event planning. So a little bit of kind of lack of synchronicity there. It doesn't seem like it matches up or syncs. They do have a decent menu structure. I don't know what thanks for the memories is. That's interesting. They do have a services drop down. That's cool. It does look like they have some obvious clear offerings, which is good. We'll take a look at maybe a couple of those. We'll also look at maybe the About Us page. So we'll load a couple of those in the background. As we scroll down, they have an embedded video. It looks like off of YouTube. That's cool. That's what we like to see. I don't want to see a video that's hosted live on the site. When that happens, typically that means that it's not hosted well. YouTube is going to beat video hosting every time. Your average website is just not going to have the bandwidth or the content delivery network or the kind of technology that YouTube's bringing to the table. So we typically always embed with YouTube. It's just a much better delivery method for video. This video, it's good they have a video, and I'm that's a positive thing, but it kind of dominates the page. I'm really not seeing anything except basically a logo, a menu, and a video right after I load, and I have to scroll down quite a ways to see any other kind of information. It says your source for entertainment. That's good. I'd like to see a little bit more there. Then they have a phone number, but no call to action necessarily. It's not like call to book an appointment or call to hear more. I'd like to see a little more specificity around what I'm supposed to do with a source for entertainment. Maybe I'm supposed to figure it out on my own. Scrolling down more, it looks like they have a couple blurbs. So now we get to kind of some calls to action. Looks like weddings, corporate events, casino nights. That's an interesting mix. I don't know how much I like this stock photography. It's a little rough. Pretty dated, at least 5 or 10 years old, probably. Stock photos are a little rough these days. This is just not current, although not maybe super egregious. They do have good good calls to action here. Free consultation, discuss your event. It looks like they all just go to contact. Well, except for the wedding quotes. That's interesting. Contact page. I mean, honestly, I'm not really a fan of that because if you want me to get in touch with you, just make the call to action button the actual contact method. Um, I'd rather see click to call, or click to email, or here's a form right here. I don't really like clicking to go to another page just to get in touch and then forgetting what the thing is I'm trying to even get in touch with them about, or it just does, it's unnecessary. I'd much rather see the button or the actual call to action give me the action to take on the page. Don't redirect me to another page just to take that action. But otherwise, so it's interesting that they do have a specific call to action directing to the wedding page. That's good. And then a contact page, not as good. Then it looks like they have some blog stuff, but it's not really clear it's a blog. And then, so I guess some content marketing. That's good. I don't know when that was posted. We could take a look. And then also it has a Facebook page. That's also good. I definitely like to see an integrated Facebook page. It looks like they've been posting recently too, and it looks fairly organic. So that's great. Yeah, good stuff there. And then scrolling down, just kind of some standard footer contact stuff and some recent blog article stuff. Maybe a little bit of a duplication. That's okay. It's not too bad. It's a little unnecessary though. And then another video about making events amazing. That video probably should be at the top of the page rather than this video here, but that's hard to say since it's, again, not really clear what their unique value proposition. There's a lot of stuff about music and then about events and then about entertainment. So I guess that it's approximately similar, not exact. So it's kind of hard to say. And then it has a copyright 2011. That's probably when this was major, any kind of major changes happened in 2011, and then they've just made some updates and changes to the homepage, or just forgot to update the copyright. Old copyright indicators are kind of a dead giveaway of just lack of maintenance. Unfortunately, it's a very, very small thing to change, but it still is just kind of one of those indicators. Frequently asked questions, that's maybe helpful, but I'd either probably put those on the homepage, like the top 3, and then have a button to say, view more or something, or I'd put it in the menu. That I'd be amazed if you're going to get a lot of clicks on a frequently asked questions page. It's just very rare, when you put it that low. Any links, any kind of content at that low on the page, very, very rare to get clicks on that in the footer. It's under construction too. So I'd rather just remove the link at this point, right? I mean, it doesn't really have any content on it anyway, so it's just kind of dead weight at this point. Looks like they have some content. It was published a year ago. It looks like was the last post. That's where I'd say either don't post the date of when you posted your articles to make them kind of more evergreen, or if you're going to update content fairly frequently, it's basically one or the other. I would remove the date from. I like to remove the date from most articles unless you're going to update actually fairly frequently, and not just kind of put 20 posts on the site and then just kind of leave it for the static content or passive content marketing. Looks like they have kind of a blog thing. I don't like to call it what's up. It's too clever. It's not clear enough like this is a blog or this is news or updates or something. Anyway, that it's okay. Not gonna fault them too much for that. The contact us page, yeah, kind of a brutal call to action form here. That's pretty rough. It's hard to tell that you got to have clear contrast between the contact or the actual form box and the background. Right now, it's hard to tell where the email or name boxes actually are, and it's not a secure site with no SSL, which means any kind of information. I mean, thankfully, we're just talking about name and email here and phone number. Not that bad, but honestly, still unnecessary and not ideal if you're going to submit a phone number and email and stuff and name over Wi-Fi, stuff like that. Everyone uses public Wi-Fi these days, so to not have SSL is definitely not the best. And then let's check out this wedding quotes page. So yeah, it looks like kind of the same content. So that's also not great. I'd definitely rather see some differentiation. So you want to basically guide people. If you're going to offer a couple different services, you want to be able to guide people into a couple different tracks. So if you're, a realtor who has residential and commercial, who does both, then I'd want to see, okay, contact me about commercial, and then go to slash commercial, and then have all your marketing and content focused on commercial, and then have slash residential and have all of it focused on residential. I'd rather see a little bit of differentiation. But in this case, the wedding quotes page and the contact page look basically identical, and the forms look identical. In that case, it's just wasting time. It's just, might as well send them all to a contact page. I'd rather have this be slash get a quote, something like that, if that's what that's for. There for. The About Us page, pretty rough. Very rough, I would say. It really doesn't actually tell me anything about them. It just says, I want a quote, which apparently goes to Wufoo, which is, I guess, fine. That's one way to do it. I'd much rather keep them on the site if I have a choice about it. Maybe that's new, maybe it's not. I'd be interested to see if this was something done more recently when they didn't know how to update the site. It also looks like they basically just embedded the Wufoo form on the other page too, as a form technology, and I don't blame them. Form technology is pretty brutal, so that's understandable if if that's what it led to, is just having to resort to Wufoo. So that's okay. Yeah, this blurb, About Us blurb. This is classic. Like, this About Us blurb, this is not very descript, and not very unique, and doesn't really build a lot of social authority or social proof. And it could easily be on the homepage. There's no reason to have a separate page for this unless you're just trying to stack pages. That's not really a strategy even. And so unless this is strictly for SEO purposes, or ranking or something like that, then this content or this blurb should have been on the homepage and not make me click to a second page. Let's check out one of these services pages here. Yeah, pretty rough. Basically just a blurb that probably could have been on the homepage. No need to make this a separate page unless unless it's strictly SEO purposes. Pretty much. And then the pictures are extremely pixelated and in a slider and have no meaningful impact on the content. So yeah, definitely pretty rough. This definitely needs some improvement in terms of, what does bar services mean? Show me some pictures of this company actually doing it. That's what I want to see. And then the link goes to the Wufoo Forms page. Again, not keeping them on the page. And again, why have a click at all? I'd much rather see this just be to just have the Wufoo Forms actually embedded below the bar services. And same thing with pretty much all the other services pages, it looks like. So yeah, all in all, it looks like, they have a good business. They are making some updates to Facebook, and that seems like that's fairly common these days. People have a phone and they have access to Facebook, so that's where they make their updates, and that Facebook has kind of worked to make it easier for people to post and update their Facebook profiles, and so that's what people tend to do, and then usually the website gets left behind. Understandable. It still just is an issue because if I'm talking about hopefully something that's once in a lifetime, like a wedding, right? I'm gonna want to do some due diligence, especially, let's say they say corporate events. If my boss tells me to go look for an event company to help me plan a corporate event, I want to find a really high quality one that I can trust, because my reputation, my career is on the line. I'm maybe not going to get fired over a bad event, but still I want to do a good job and make it a great event. So this website really has to stand up to that kind of burden of proof, basically. And so it does look like they have some content, and that's great. But I would definitely like to see the formatting and just structuring of that content to be improved. I'd want to see a lot of the main arguments and the main battle in terms of people's minds. I'd like to see that made on the homepage. I don't want to see a bunch of links going to other pages, going to other websites. I want to see some really good, concise social proof and convincing and rhetoric on that homepage, to where people are convinced this is the company they should work with, and then they go to a services page, or they go to a contact form or a quote form, because they're convinced that this is the right company. So that's generally what we're looking to do with websites, and I think that would be one of the bigger improvements here. And then also, let's check just for kicks what this looks like on a mobile phone here. So it looks like it actually, some decisions have been made in terms of layout for mobile devices. Uh, the full width embed video and things like that, you can get away with quite a bit more when it comes to a mobile device because the screen is so narrow and people are typically browsing websites in a portrait orientation. So much taller than it is wide. And so in that case, things like 100% width video are not as much of a problem in this case. So that's why we see that's what it looks like right here. I can already tell looking at this inspect element here that it's obviously a WordPress site. And so that looks like that's was probably DIY, or they had a friend help them out or something, maybe one time. Or it was built by somebody and then they've been trying to basically self-manage it in the meantime. So let's check built with. So yeah, font awesome is cool. I'd like to see some of those assets be loaded from the theme itself through maybe an SVG, something like that. I'm a big fan of SVGs. Font awesome is cool. It just means you're going to be loading stuff potentially offsite, and there's just scripting and stuff that's a little unnecessary. It looks like they're using some Google Font API. I think that's great. That's one of those allowable offsite things. If you want to use any kind of customized fonts, that's going to be probably one of your best ways to do it if you're not just going to use built-in fonts. They're using WordPress plugins. I don't know what plugins those are necessarily. There's ways to tell a little bit more if I dug a little bit more, but typically you don't want to see a ton of WordPress plugins. That starts to become a problem because plugins expose vulnerabilities to the site. So we don't want to see a ton of plugins, basically as few as possible just to get the functionality necessary, and that's it. It looks like they're using Contact Form 7. I think that's a little bit unnecessary. And it's probably duplicate to what they're trying to do in terms of forms, and that's probably why they ended up going with Wufoo anyway. And then otherwise, probably hosted on GoDaddy. It looks like it's up-to-date WordPress, though. That's good. Probably automatically updated. Unfortunately, that means probably not a lot of backups and things. That's hard to tell. So if it goes down, it could go down hard, and a little bit else. So all in all, not too bad, not the worst, and it does look like they are using Google Analytics tracking, which is awesome. We definitely like to see that because that's where we can actually get a scoreboard of changes and improvements, and so we can look back at the past 6 months or a year and see, okay, what's traffic done? Has it gone up? Has it gone down? Is it seasonal? Do they get a lot more during the summer because more events are in the summer? Those are the type of things that Google Analytics are going to tell us, and so that's great that they've had that installed and hopefully have access to that data, and that's quite helpful. Last thing, we'll just look at this Whois real quick. It looks like they're also using a privacy package or whatever GoDaddy has pitched. Again, as I've mentioned in the past, GoDaddy kind of blackmails you into paying for privacy. Otherwise, they'll basically expose your private information. And anyway, not a huge fan of that, but that is the way it goes. So, yeah, all in all, it is what it is. It's functional. I think they've put some energy into updating content, or maybe somebody they know or a friend has helped them with it potentially. I would like to see a little bit more usability in terms of just put maybe a quick contact form or a way to get in touch right away, and then maybe if people are really serious about checking availability and so forth, then you can have a call to action to do that. But I wouldn't have different calls to actions about discussing your event or booking free consultations or things unless you actually have a distinct funnel for that goal. So overall, all in all, not too bad. It's functional. It has their contact info. Hopefully it's correct. It loads reasonably quickly. It seems up to date. No SSL, not a lot of specialization, and doesn't quite look like it's really very current or modern. Just some of the design elements make me think kind of 2011 or 12 or 13, which is when the copyright says, but who knows? That's hard to tell. So good opportunities for sure. The content is here. The pieces are here. And it looks like they're willing to invest in some of their marketing and content. So that's great. I think that the raw material is ready, and so this is I would say a good candidate for some improvement and some structure, and I think it would help them a lot. I hope you found this interesting. Maybe you learned a couple things about web services and even were entertained. If you have any questions about websites or digital marketing, don't hesitate to reach out at help@purewebservices.com or call us at 1-800-883-7185. Talk to you soon.